There we go. All right. So yes, our next gal here on Social Media Day is the one, the only Kristie Whites, who just celebrated her birthday yesterday. So happy birthday,
I
Kristie.
did. Thank you.
But you were also you were the driving force of getting Austin, Texas here to recognize Social Media Day. So you want to share a little about that and the journey and how it kind of has evolved. You've been a big driving force, obviously one of the bigger founders of this going back to the beginning.
Yeah, so I wanted to do it for a while. Mashable, actually, if you know Mashable and you follow along with their content and their writing, they're just a really great resource for content, social, marketing, analytics, you name it. I'm a big nerd about it. And in New York, they launched Social Media Day, and it took off nationally, and then it took off internationally. And then they opened it up saying, if you want your city to own digital and embrace the digital transformation and the power of social media, get them to proclaim it, and we'll come and celebrate with you. And I'm like, all right, challenge accepted. So I started going through the channels and wrote out a little write-up on why social media is so important and why Austin needs to embrace it. And the mayor proclaimed June 30th National Social Media Day Austin. So I was like, woo, exciting. And went back to Mashable. I was like, yeah, we're throwing a big party. We partnered with Digital Marketer. We partnered with Scott Carson and Media Tech Ventures and a few others that helped us put together a really awesome day of content. And it's centered everywhere. I mean, really deep topics to high level, like this is how you post, and to how do you measure analytics and create ads. I love the ones that were kind of the head turners that you didn't really think about, like how they can help you get a job. Or last year when we did a big live feed, we talked about, health and mental wellness. And, that's the things that I love about it, is that it has practical uses, but it has things you never thought about either. And that's why I wanted to bring it to Austin and proclaim it and keep doing it as much as I could. But you've really taken it and ran with it, which I thank you for this.
We didn't do it last year because we were both so busy with things. And then you've also transitioned in stuff there with joining the media tech team and being busy with everything and all the lockdown and stuff like that. So it's like, I'm like, you're like, I don't have the time, but I got 30 minutes for you.
Yep. I always have time for you. It's one of those deals where I might not be able to do 27 hours live streaming with you all the time, but I will definitely promote and sign on board. Especially, you do such a great job. Our last guest here is like, yes, you preach it.
Right.
Give reason and everything.
Exactly. Now you and Elijah, I love bringing this up. You guys did something very interesting. You went on the road for a period of time, working with entrepreneurs across the country, business owners, really spreading the social media gospel across the United States there. And you lived at an RV for a year or two, doing some stuff. What's one of the biggest, and we'll talk with pros and cons here unless you want to go a different route, but what's one of the biggest things that just drives you bonkers when you're talking with business owners or entrepreneurs on stuff that they're not doing or doing incorrectly, Kristie?
I don't know what's not doing or doing correctly. I mean, the one thing is not doing anything, saying you can't before you even try. The other thing is the reply, well, I'm just going to have my niece do it. I'm like, okay. Because that means that they understand the basic concept of posting, but not really the deeper concept of marketing and marketing yourself and what that really means to. Social media is a tool. The different channels are all tools. You just use them differently. You post differently, you communicate on them differently. So I think that's the biggest misunderstanding about social, is it's just a bunch of, postings on walls. So I think they related social media to ancient Egypt, pictures of cats, and we post on walls. So
hieroglyphics.
But it has such a deeper element to it, a branding element to it, a business development, communication, community element that a lot of people miss. And it's not just about Facebook or or Instagram or TikTok or Twitter, or I could go all day because there's so many of them. It's about what you do with it and how you communicate. And yes, we spent 2.5 years on the road. The last 6 months we're in transition. I do not, I'm so happy. Like, I'm not in an RV during the pandemic. I cannot tell you enough. We transitioned out because my husband, Elijah, and then my business partner, he had a really great offer to work with Amazon brands. He's actually playing around with Amazon and what it's capable of doing, just much like what we were doing with Google and social media. So he's nerding out and enjoying it. And obviously it's Amazon's booming right now. So he's keeping busy. And I've still, Serving Social is still active. We do a lot of marketing for clients. We've recently partnered with Media Tech Ventures so that we could take some of our bigger goals that we had, the things that we developed on the road when we were traveling, and bring them to life. And it's hard to do that by yourself. You need really good allies and partners that are experts in the things that you're not. Practicing what I preach.
There you go. But that's the thing, is that's one of a lot of people, as you say, will give up before they even start, because they think it takes humongous beast, and you can start off simple, but there are joint venture partners, creative partners that can step in. And if you're kind of targeting the same audience, you can often outlay or delegate things to make things work a whole lot smoother and really combine forces, combine superpowers, right? Be the social media Power Rangers, right?
Exactly. I don't know. I'd be the pink one. Just saying. I was a big Power Ranger fan, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So I digress. Yes, so it is power and unity. Like, don't look at everyone like your competitor. They aren't your competitor. They could potentially be your partner and your ally. If they're doing the exact same thing you're doing, talk to them. I guarantee you it's not exactly the same that you're doing it, and nobody does it the way that you do it. So that's why it's so important that within social you define your individuality and your voice. And Scott, you've done a really good job of that in everything that you've owned and done. And that's what's important. It is that traditional branding element of things that it just translates differently from traditional agency and advertising into digital and social. But it's still very, very much relevant if you want to get your brand out there.
Now, for those that are listening and watching this that are companies and either working with clients or promoting their own stuff, how important is it still for the individual to make sure they've got an active posting schedule these days? You know, especially everything going on and people being laid off or furloughed. I mean, how important is it to still have that individual message and marketing your own stuff on a regular basis?
Extremely, and also carefully. There's a lot of things happening right now. There's a lot of emotion. Social media is the one place where some people go and they release all of that. I mean, you have the negative, you have the positive. It's important to be, especially right now, depending on the circumstance, to be active, to be aware of what you are posting, more so not from a, am I saying the wrong thing type of perspective. Maybe you might want to just ask yourself that if you are posting some stuff, but from the, I'm now looking for a job perspective, and here's what my social profile is public, and you haven't put things out there related to business or your experience or your knowledge. Like, it's time to start evaluating yourself and auditing yourself and what you're posting the same way you would your company, especially if you're trying to excel professionally in that way. So I'm reserved. Some channels I'm more public on than I am on others. And I very much use the channels to their strength. So when I'm talking business and I want to do certain types of business, and I know this person has a Facebook profile, I'll go message them on Facebook because it's less in your face, let's do business. It's more relaxed, and I can have a personal conversation with them, and we can have tea or coffee while we're decaf, unfortunately, while we're having a 30-minute Zoom chat. So it's a little bit more personable, whereas LinkedIn is, hey, y'all all get them every single day. Hey, I want to sell you this. Hey, I want to do this with you. It's like, no, I want to do real business. I want to partner with you. Let's see what that looks like. if there's a way to approach it. But it's equally important personally to keep your accounts going as it is business-wise. Trust me, I have more than enough between groups, between actual business pages, and then also my social profiles. It gets overwhelming quickly. So it's also one of those deals where to gauge what's happening right now, where is the most traction going to be. So it's not about you, it's about your user. Hi, Phoebe. It's about your user and now I lost my train of thought. Woo. Sorry about that. It's about what they want to see, not necessarily about what you want to post. So always keep that in mind too, is that I share a lot of personal updates because that's exactly what I want my Facebook profile to be. But occasionally you'll see me pop up and say, hey, I'm speaking on International Social Media Day, or guess what I get to do with my company over here. Like, it's very much all about me. But that attracts people because they're attracted to my personality because I show it. And the different tones and the different postings that I do attract different people. Mm-hmm. Which is always interesting because it's no longer like spammed friend requests. I'm actually getting people who are like, hey, I saw this posting and I want to ask you some questions about it. I'm like, okay.
Well, but that's the beautiful thing is you're sharing that personal stuff and it's the interaction. You're answering. I think we've all, as you grow your profiles, we start to filter through who you kind of do follow, who you do accept the friend request from, especially if you hit your personal page and 5,000 or seeing or push them to a follow on the aspect of things. And it's good to share that personality. I mean, it's good to share the fact that, hey, I'm getting dressed up and going to the Austin Film Festival and I have a great time, or we're hanging out at someplace kind of fun and cool that does not associate with social media or what we're doing in our full 9-to-5 thing, right?
And it makes the connection, the human connection of things. And originally that's what, for example, Facebook was about. It was about connecting with friends that they had in college. And it grew and morphed into this bigger thing because everybody has this need for connection. And right now, when we're all completely segregated and confined to our homes and feeling less connected more than ever, social media is allowing us to feel like we're not alone and our voices can be heard. And I don't want to get all emotional about it, but it's true. It's the human connection that why do I don't necessarily want to see all your promotional stuff. That's not going to get me interested in you. It's who you are that's going to make me want to buy from you. And that's where I think some posters go wrong in that they're hammering you with, hey, here's what I do. What I can do for you versus, hey, here's me. Oh, by the way, I also do this. Two very different voices will get very different responses.
Mm-hmm. What is your favorite thing right now that you're really loving on the social media tool, a technique, a tactic, a platform? What's something that you're really loving right now?
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
Because
different cookie jars.
I don't know, because I'm enjoying Pinterest and all the expanded capabilities there. Like, I've been building boards, like now that you know that you have projects you can potentially have time to do while you're at home, like I'm building boards and actually organizing my life via social network. Hey, honey, here's all the things I want you to do this weekend. He's like, oh, great, I love it. So that from a personal perspective. From a business perspective, that's a tough one because we use lots of different tools and I'm on a lot of different channels. But I think people, especially local businesses, specifically local businesses with brick and mortars, underestimate the power of Google and Google My Business and signing up for a business account and leveraging the fact that they do free social postings, free listing in the account, photos. Like, if you do a social posting, a Google post, it is in Google search. So if somebody's looking for best Chinese food in Cedar Park or best Chinese food in Austin, like, you have more of an opportunity because you're feeding Google content that they're instantly indexing against your brand and your name. Instead of what they have to do with social networks is go out with their little crawlers, and it takes time to collect all that information and associate it with your name. Here, you're giving it directly to them and say, here I am. I think it's definitely underutilized and it needs to be explored more, and it's free. So, hello, you don't have to pay for it. Yeah, that would be the one thing I think that businesses really need to look at. And you don't necessarily have to be a local business any longer. Now that things that have been happening with the pandemic and having to be inside, they've been opening up opportunities for virtual event postings and things like that that can be inside Google search. So you just need to explore the options that would work for your business.
That's a nugget. I love that idea. Did not know about I knew about posting the photos to Google, so it indexes you. Someone's researching, they pull up the different photos on the right-hand side. Might as well work with Big Brother to promote your event or product versus trying to hide, right? But that's a new thing at the virtual event side. That's a pretty cool thing. And Phoebe says, so excited to see you too, Kristie, on the Facebook. Out there watching.
I love Phoebe.
Yeah, exactly. Don't we all? One of the things too that you mentioned is, and I know that Elijah has been big on this. He used 5 million photos online or something like that, taking photos and being in the moment. How important it is just to kind of document what you're doing. If you're doing something interesting or something normal, and then just kind of sharing it. But also, here's, I think, the one thing that we all take photos, but we don't always save them as a name. We save them as image 1, 3, 5, 6, 7, right? And if you go back and take the time to share what the keywords you want in the photo, that boosts your kind of searchability as well too, right?
Yeah, so there's different tactics you can use, and you hit the nail on the head with that one, is that there's a way to optimize what you're doing. So start first. I'm posting it. I found a photo. I'm posting it. I'm doing content. Okay, great. You have a sentence of content. You have a photo. Take that one step forward. I'm now going to tag this photo with people in it. I'm now going to put hashtags. I'm now going to say what location I'm at. That's another level of optimization. But go even further, and when we're thinking about how algorithms read information on the back end and how they associate that with you, you have an opportunity in tagging your photo and naming your photo deliberately and giving it an alt text and an alt description. You now have optimized that posting even further by just thinking a little bit further ahead before you uploaded the photo. So and you have to be very specific with this stuff. So the title could be, for example, Social Media Day, Austin. And then in the description, it's a photo of me and you, Scott, and we're talking. So I'd say Kristie Whites and Scott Carson talking at International Social Media Day, and post it. So that's a legitimate, like I'm saying and describing to Google or the search engine, what is inside of that photo, and I'm giving them a very deliberate title to index it with. So now I'm expanding opportunity for information to be associated with my page, with my brand, with my name, with the event. And over time, this starts to accumulate. Photos are what is shared universally across everything. But Google and search engines don't know how to read photos unless you title them. And videos, same thing. You have to take the time to think, okay, what's my title? What's my description? What are my hashtags? And we do content outlines for this stuff way ahead of time. We do research into hashtags and what would work for our industry as a whole, what would work for this brand, what works for this city. There's great tools for that. But we can nerd out on that all day long. The thing is to get started layer by layer. So first start writing your content, post your photo. Then the next time, what can I do to optimize this? Okay, now I'm going to tag it. I'm going to add in hashtags. And then before that, create the cadence that now I'm going to start labeling all my photos before I upload them. And it just becomes repetition that it doesn't even become work anymore. It's something that you can teach somebody else to do, and they can do it and keep going.
Yeah, Lindsay was sharing Canva a minute ago, but you can actually label each photo and save it, and that's the file that downloads it. And that's one little thing I started doing now, and I've started seeing those photos pop up in searches for my guests, my episodes, and other things by making it keyword rich, which is valuable. Let's see here. Elijah says photo optimization format: Kristie Whites, Scott Carson interview, National Social Media Day would be the ideal if you're taking a photo of this. Good job, Elijah. We appreciate you, buddy.
Thank you, honey.
good stuff out there. Now,
He's always my better half.
there you go. Exactly. Just like Steph's my better half. Definitely. Now, one of the things, you have a lot of ways to find help online. You guys are you guys using online VAs, Upwork to help you? Because as we get busy in the business of doing things, a lot of times social media falls the wayside because we're too busy operating things. You guys have used a lot of VAs, a lot of interns in helping, find people or help, somebody add an assistant to help them with their social media posting on a regular basis who kind of understands that. You want to give any tips to those out there for helping find somebody to help out with for that?
Yes. So be very careful and know that if you don't know doesn't mean that they know. You need to know enough about what you're wanting and what you're looking for to be able to explain what you need. If you're needing something further, you need more of a collaborative relationship instead of one that's just distribution. So it's that collaboration and that partnership with somebody that we like. We want to, when we bring in interns, we actually look from universities for those that are about to graduate out. We bring them in for 6 months to, for six weeks to 3 months. And we give them a client and we teach them how we work with them and we get them to develop a relationship with them, because that's the only way you're really going to understand that person's brand, to speak to them. So it's like I explain to them that I'm handing you somebody's baby. Like, you're going to take care of it. You're going to babysit it. You have to feed it. You have to burp it. You got to change the shitty diaper sometimes too. That's what happens. But that's how you learn how to speak and take care of this person's baby, which is their business, which makes them money. That's their livelihood. And so having them look at it from that perspective, it was more of a collaborative environment. So if you know what you need and you have your brand and you're good to go, like, go to an Upwork and be very, very specific on this. I'm always going to tell you to hire a professional because I'm a professional. If you need branding, hire a professional. If you don't know what your stuff looks like, hire a professional. If you're already know and have your stuff and you want to just push it out, talk to somebody about, here's my brand. Have a brand guide for them. That's going to help them. Because if you don't understand who you are, I'm talking by brand guide. Here's my logos. Here's my fonts. Here's my colors. Here's how they are to be used. Like, defining those things allows a designer to actually do their job. Because if you don't have those, then they're having to create that from scratch. And that's how you end up having a very mixed match, convoluted brand and message. And you don't want that. So I would say come knowing your basics. It could be 5 slides of logos, fonts, colors, like definition of, and if you can add more to it, like your mission, values, vision, tagline, even better, because that's what you actually call a brand standards guide. And then give that to them. Here's what I want clearly stated. Here's who I am, and I need it by this time frame. And stay true to that. And be prepared to help them, because they're only going to be as good as the amount of information that you're going to be able to give them and the time you're going to be able to give them. So you're going to spend a lot more time with somebody up front, but after you get a good cadence together of doing these things over and over again, you then start to create that partnership that you're looking for, that long-term person versus that one-time write-off project.
Mm-hmm.
Long-winded answer, I know.
It's a great answer. We've got our friend Judy Uscombe, who is also a professor at Texas State University in San Marcos. She says, would love to connect with you. Some of our grads from Texas State University, go Bobcats. Wow.
Yeah, I'd love that. Definitely. You can find me on Facebook at Kristie Whites, Instagram or LinkedIn, same handle. Please reach out. Don't reach out to me with your spammy stuff, because I'll shut you down if anybody's hearing this. I have so much fun with those people that are like, don't you just hate it when you get spam messages? And then they go right into, and I'm selling you this. I'm like,
yeah. Well, but that's a big thing too, especially these days. You look at, all our social media profiles are really being evaluated, especially if you're moving into that, into a more of a visual role. You're graduating college, you're getting a business thing. People are going back and checking out. I mean, you look at what happened to Kevin Hart with his joke text from a couple years ago, getting him kicked out of not hosting the Emmy Awards, the Oscars, you know, there's a lot, you gotta be careful what you put out there, you know, and times change than what they used to be 2 years ago versus 5 years ago. So making sure that you know exactly what you're talking about, especially, look, I know there's stuff I posted in college that were goofy and stupid. I look back now, I'm deleting the heck out of them. Not that they were bad. It's just that we're a different mindset. The selfie of us doing a bong hit or doing a keg stand isn't quite the attractive thing that want to be out there anymore.
Yeah. You're just like you evaluate your resume when you're going out to get a job or look for things, you need to be evaluating your digital presence. And I didn't say social media presence, I said digital presence. Google yourself. So I Google my married name, but I also Google my maiden name, and you'll see two very different lives. So what I was doing under my maiden name was I was doing photo shoots, and we were designing like Victorian tea parties and costume design and my other life, you know, before I took all of those skills and transferred into my digital life under my married name. It's very different. And there are things that I posted in college that I'm like, no, that's the delete. And that's just only one example, but I think it's important to establish your voice the same way you would for a company, for yourself. And it's not about being fake, it's about being authentic, but at the same time, like really thinking about, if I want to be seen this way and achieve these things, is what I'm posting helping me do that? And if it isn't, then you need to change it.
I love that. Now, you also, people don't know, you were also a big part of the One Thing launch, going back a few years.
That was a long time ago. Yes, I was actually, as part of my first days into, was working with another company at the time. That was my big book launch with the One Thing, their first year. Love that team. The dudes at Keller Inc. are really amazing and down to earth. And it was something interesting to take a concept of a book and to kind of tear it apart and be like, okay, people really need this information. This is valuable. So how do we get that to them? Like, in what state of mind that they were or what they are in? And it wasn't just about realtors anymore. We were able to like expand outside of realtors and say all of these things are very applicable to all of these other people. And that, that's reminding me to breathe. And that is important. And so it was something where we got to take a really good message and help a lot of people outside of a niche that traditionally they weren't in. And it turned into a really cool, like, international thing too. So now I'm getting postings from China and the Philippines and Korea about this book. And so I'm like, sweet. But yeah, that was quite some time ago, but I had a good time with it. Since then, I think one of my most notable things that I like projects that we get to have fun at. And so one project took us cross country. We did when we were partnered with Google for the Google Virtual Tour program, where we were taking Street View, car tech, and doing 360s inside of businesses. We got sent out to hang out with Total Nutrition in Vegas. So that was fun, hopping around, meeting all those guys, and then getting tips on where to go afterwards. So that was cool. But it's fun things like that you can embrace in marketing, that it doesn't have to be work. It should be fun.
Exactly. Well, Kristie, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to come back on here. And we will get together for a drink very soon, very quickly here over the next couple of days.
Yes, that would be great.
Exactly. Well, thanks so much for coming out on National Social Media Day, and thanks for doing, and we'll see you around, all righty?
Thanks for having me. I'll talk to you soon.
Yes, ma'am. Bye.